Hey guys,
Welcome to the Real and Raw with Tasha.
and Angela. Happy New
Happy
Year's.
New Year! So we are bringing in the new year with a bang, right?
Yes.
How was your New Year's, Angela?
It was great. It was good. I spent it with my family and I can't complain. It was
Did you get
good.
dressed up to sit in your living room? I saw a meme that said that for New Year's, people are just going to get dressed up to sit in their living room. Did you do that?
No, I didn't get dressed up, but
Okay.
I obviously, kind of put something on that I look presentable
Okay.
because I do like taking pictures. So I definitely, put something
Mhm.
on the kids, and we just took a picture.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
I actually slept.
Wait, but the 31st was your daughter's birthday.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so excited. Yes, so her birthday was then, and I decorated and we had cake and we watched a movie actually on Netflix. It was called Mirror Mirror. So it was like a Snow White version of, well, like a not a cartoon version of Snow White.
Okay.
To watch it with the kids, maybe. It was really interesting. Some things were a little different, like the dwarfs were not like good dwarfs, they were like thieves.
Oh,
But
wow.
Julia Roberts was the evil witch or the evil stepmother or whatever you want to call it. So it was pretty interesting to see like how they remade Snow White. The kids enjoyed it. So we finished watching that like at 10:35. And then I wanted to take a nap because I'm getting old. And so I woke up like at 11:58 and I didn't even get up out of bed. I didn't turn on any lights or anything like that. We had the TV on, the news. And what was off was that like when 12 o'clock hit, they were still saying it was 11:59.
You know what? That is true. I did peep that. On
Yeah.
my phone, it said 12, 12 a.m., but in the news, they were still doing the count. Yeah, okay. I thought it was
This
just me
year
who
was
peeped that.
yeah, this year was definitely weird because
Yeah.
it was like, what's happening? So after all said was done, I just rolled over and went back to sleep. But out of the kids, Olivia was still awake and the other three were sleeping. So it was nice. Just ready for the new year, ready for to embrace the new me and trying to discover who I am and our self love, our self care, and just kind of like being single and trying to figure out what that means for me, being a single
Right.
person and being a single mom. Like it's definitely an adjustment, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the new year. I'm ready for a lot of positive vibes. So if you coming at me with negative vibes, I'm not for it. I'm
You
ready
blocking it.
for positive. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I feel good.
That's good.
Yeah. So today's topic is a good topic for the new year and starting off the new year, being single and kind of figuring out what that looks like.
Yes.
We spoke about our past, we spoke about our experiences in our relationships, but now we're going to speak about like what we're going to look for in the future, right? Like what will we accept, what we not going to accept. I think it's important to know what you're looking for before you jump into something, right? Because
True.
a lot of times people jump into things and then they realize that that wasn't what they wanted. And it's kind of like too late for a lot of people to jump back out because they're so far in. They're like, wait, how do I even get out of this situation? So, what's today's
Right.
topic? Because I'm going to mess it up.
Tonight's topic is, would you compromise your happiness for the success of your relationship?
So, would you compromise your happiness for the success of your relationship? So that's a good question. Um, I think do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
I think that for me, I can speak on past relationship. Everybody knows like I've been married my whole adult life. So when I look at my relationship, I do think that I compromised a lot of me for that relationship. And now when I look at myself now, I don't know who I am, right? Um, I feel like I'm 18 again, trying to figure out uh, who I am, how to go, like what direction to go into. Um,
Right.
an example of compromising yourself, because when I think of that question, it's like it could be very, people can look at that question in a lot of different ways. So when I look at compromising yourself for your relationship, it could be financially, right? Um, if your partner makes more money than you, or your partner makes less money than you, you're willing to accept the cards that are given to you, right? Um, Also, kids. If you're in a relationship and you love the person, you're in love with the person, but that person don't want to have any children, are you willing to compromise that aspect for yourself, right? Like, what if you want kids, but your partner is perfect, everything you want him to be, but he doesn't want to have kids? Are you willing to allow yourself to overlook you wanting to have kids for that perfect relationship that you've encountered? So, I mean, there's different ways to look at it. For me, um, in my 13-year marriage, I had 4 children. There was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of compromises that I had to make in order to operate and function in that marriage, right? Um, having a baby, carrying a baby for 9 months, having the child, and compromising your job possibly to stay home and take care of your newborn. Um, we homeschooled our children, compromising, again, my employment, who I am as a person, to make sure that my kids get the best education for myself or any resources that came along the way. There was a lot of compromises. So I have done it. Will I say if I'm going to do it in the future? I don't know. It's easier said than done. I can say, oh, I'm not going to do it. But when you're in love, love, it blinds you from everything else. You're in love, you don't see anything else. You don't see all the negatives because you're in love.
That's
Um,
true.
so I can't say that I won't do it again. I'll say that I'm going to try to see the red flags or see the signs before I make that huge commitment that you can't possibly get out.
Yeah.
How about you?
Um, okay, when I listen to the question, um, unfortunately, like in my past, with my past relationships, my exes, more than one, because I had other exes. Just want to clear that out.
New year, new me. Go ahead.
Okay, so no, but seriously, like in my past relationships, I feel like I have compromised my happiness for my relationship to work, for my relationship to be somewhat, in my mind, I thought it was healthy, you know?
Mhm.
And there was times where I wasn't like, back in the day, I thought I was happy, but now looking back on my past, I wasn't happy.
Mhm.
So that I compromised all my happiness just because I wanted to be with these people,
Mhm.
you know? And I don't think nobody's worth you compromising like your happiness for.
Yeah.
So,
I think
like you
after
mentioned your
experience,
kids and other stuff, that's different. But your happiness, I don't think no relationship you should compromise your happiness just for it to work out.
I agree. I think that for myself, I can only speak on myself, and I think that like being in a relationship and being committed to the relationship, I thought that instead of arguing, it was better to compromise, right? Well, pick your battles. I always said that to my
Right.
right, pick your battles. Is this a battle that you're willing to um make a big deal out of, right? You find yourself arguing over the same things over and over and over again. So you kind of have to look at it and say, is this worth it? Like last time we argued about this same issue,
Yeah.
we didn't speak for 5 days. On the sixth day, we made up and we moved forward, but the issue is coming back to surface again. So, do you want to experience that 5 days of not talking to someone that you love and you really genuinely don't want to be upset with? Or do you want to just compromise and say, you know what, let's do whatever you say? Because ultimately you love that person, so you're willing to just lose that.
I think that's a mistake that a lot of us do. Just to, like I mentioned, just so our relationship is on good terms,
Mhm.
we just like put it under the rug, leave it alone. Like, you know what? I'm not gonna make, for example, I'm just throwing out examples, not my personal experience. Just throwing out examples. If the guy was to be like, he messaged someone and then you find out, and then you questioning him, and then he starts saying like, no, you know, um, it's not true, da 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 da, whatever. And then you in your mind, you're like, you know what, you're just a liar. You're
Mhm.
lying. But because you don't want to argue and you don't want to make things worse, you just be like, you know what, I'll let that one slide.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But deep down, like your gut is telling you, like, this guy is lying. I know, So it's like, you have to compromise what your gut is telling you, and all the feelings of you knowing that he's lying, because you don't want, to have a big freaking argument with him or
Yeah.
her.
And I agree. I
So
think that, you know your partner, so you know if you question your partner on something specific, you know like whether your partner's going to get irritated or be annoyed by that question. So like I've even encountered, withholding my question to my partner because I didn't want my partner to get upset. I didn't want to argue. I'm like, you
yeah, but that interferes with your happiness,
know,
because you're always thinking, or you're always like, oh my god, like, either this guy, like lying all the time, or he's cheating on me, or whatever the case may be. And
yeah.
then you're at a point where you're like, I'm not fully happy in this relationship.
Mhm.
But
And that's the
you're like,
thing
"No,
for me is that I'm a very vocal person.
you are."
Everybody knows that from this podcast already that I'm very vocal. So if I can't express my feelings to my partner and I can't tell my partner how I'm feeling or, like at least stand my ground, then it does take a little bit of me, right? Because I'm the type that I need to talk about it in order to feel better. So if you're,
Some men don't like that. You know that, right?
well, those
Because
women
I
for me,
remember, I used to be very in my I'm the quiet one here, but in my relationships I used to be very vocal too. Like, if I not even relationships, anything, that, like, I have a mouth. Like, if I'm not feeling you or whatever the case may be, I'm gonna tell you right there and then. So it's like, sometimes I used to tell my partners, and they would not like it. It would actually start argument. Or they would be like, you know what, just keep it to yourself. Like, you don't have to tell everything that you're feeling. So it would cause like a whole chaos
well,
and
you
stuff.
definitely need
So
yourself because if they're telling you, well, keep it in to yourself. If I can't talk to you about it, and I think we mentioned this in previous episodes, if the female can't talk to you about it in your relationship, who do you think they're going to talk to? They're going to go and talk to somebody else about it, right? And it's going to
right.
be another man because they feel like they can't talk to you about it. The scariest part is the fact that, I've been married for 13 years and I feel like in that marriage, absolutely great things happen, positive things happen. But when I look back at myself, I I did a lot of compromising to where like now I don't know who I am and it scares me, right? Because now I am older, right? So everybody expects you as you get older to kind of like know who you are. They expect for that
Right.
unknown phase to be in your 20s. When you're 21, your younger years, they expect for you to maybe not know what you want and not know who you want and how to be.
It's almost like the same as, you grow, like, going to school, like, you grow, okay, you go to middle school, you go to high school. And then probably, like, while you're in high school, you should kind of have a figure of what are you going to do in college, So it's like, that's how it is in the adult stage. Like,
Yeah. So
no,
it's
we
like,
don't know.
now at 33, it's like where I'm supposed to know like who I am and what I will tolerate, what I won't tolerate. I still don't know. Um, but I don't feel any way about it because a lot of people in their 30s still don't know. So that perception of who you're supposed to be because you're older, it's not
Hmm.
accurate, right? Because but that's how we are taught to feel. We're taught to feel in your 20s, you're going to be figuring it out. By your 30s, you got your ish together. You're married, you have kids, you have a house, you have this, you have that.
Yeah, and if you're in your 40s, or yeah, if you're in your early 40s and you're single, oh my God, be miserable because you shouldn't be.
Yes.
But that's
You
not,
don't have kids. They're like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know,
yeah.
it's just the way of society's way of making it seem like you need to be this and you need to be that. And for me at 33, I do have reservations. I do feel like I should know what I want when it comes to
Hmm.
relationship. When I chose to get married, I got married young, but I didn't think that marriage ended at 33. I thought marriage would be forever, right? And I think that's for anybody that gets married at whatever age. They don't think they're going to be married for a year, but at the same time, when you're
I mean, every time you enter a relationship, you obviously enter it with the hopes of lasting for a long time.
hmm,
You
like
know, you never go in a relationship be like, yeah, I'm just gonna
break
be
up
with
in
you
6 months.
for 4 months. That's it.
That is so
But
true. So I think I even saw a meme that said that like you should be dating to get married. You shouldn't be dating
yes,
just to date, right? That's
yeah.
everybody's goal is to date to get married. And then once you're married, you should be dating to stay married. you know. Um, so for me, I do think that compromising in a relationship, um, you're going to compromise. Let's be honest and let's put it on the table. In your relationship, you're not always going to agree on everything. You're going to have to compromise some things. But once it starts to affect your happiness, once it starts to eat at you, where you
Right.
feel like your voice is not heard, that's when you need to realize, like, wait a minute, is this the right thing for me? And even at that point, it might be too late, right? At that point, you're already so far in. How do you get out? Is it easier to just stay, or is it easier to backtrack and get out? So even for myself, like in my situation now, I will be lying to you if I told you that at any point I'm like, man, would it be easier to just stay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're running a mile or you're running a marathon and you're, 3 miles in. Is it easier to turn back around and just go back to the starting point? Or do you finish the marathon? And that's basically how I feel. And when I look back at how far it took me to get to where I am now, I'm like, no, the best thing is to continue to
But
go.
you know what? Honestly, as humans, I feel like we have a breaking point, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like we get to this place where we really are in a dark place and we feel like nothing is making us happy.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's the time where we just break out from there. And we're like, you know what? I had it. It's enough.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I think like for myself, like I'll really honestly say that, I've compromised all I can compromise, right? I don't have anything else left to compromise. I think that in my marriage, we went to therapy, and I say that I'm an advocate for therapy, but I went to therapy. There was so much of me that I was compromising that even at some points, I was putting so much on my plate because I was compromising that I wasn't fulfilling everything on my plate. I wasn't eating everything on my plate, right? There
I
was
mean, in a relationship, you know that you have to, like, when you enter a relationship, especially a marriage, you have to compromise, like you said. You know, it's a thing that you and your partner have to do. But what I don't agree on is compromising his happiness and your happiness.
and that's
That's for me personally is just no.
that's
I've done it in my past, and in my future, I'm not gonna do that.
it. And that was for me. My thing was at the end, I was like, I love you, yes, that I want this to work, but I also love you enough to allow you to be happy with someone else. If you can't
Right.
be happy with me, right? You're trying to mold me into this person that I've tried to be this person you want me to be. And so much so that I stripped myself of myself. Um, so at this point, I'm willing to allow you to walk away. I'm giving you that out so that you can find that person you're looking for because obviously I'm not that person. And
Yeah.
I think that is really big of someone to do that, right? Because I could be selfish and say, no, you're going to stay with me and you're just going to deal with me because that's who you married, right? You're going to deal with
Mm-hmm.
whether you like it or you don't. But I think it's big of me to say, you know what? Go, go find your happiness. Unfortunately, I'm not that person. I want to be that person. I'm trying to prove to you that I can be that person. But
But I think it's so tiring and so overwhelming that you try to be this person that your partner wants you to be, and you try everything in your power to be this person that your partner wants you to be, and nothing works.
yeah, yeah,
Nothing works. I think that hurts more to look back at the years that you lost,
mhm,
that you lost, and think like, damn, like I really tried. I did so many things for this person that I would never have thought I would even do.
yeah.
And for him to not even value it or even, be like, damn, like,
Appreciate your sacrifice.
wow, I have someone special on my side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think
it's hard.
that's definitely the hardest part is
So,
that, you look back at it and you see that you sacrificed so much and you see that you've given so much of yourself and it still was not enough. I'm even at this point that if I didn't give him an out and I still decided to run that race, it would have been a never ending race, right? Nothing
no,
I would have done going forward would have been enough.
no.
There's nothing
Like
I've
I always
done
told you,
would
I feel like
be.
there's a soulmate for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So you could have done,
It would come easy.
you could have done all of that through your man. What's crazy that I see that you could have been this person to this exes or whoever your ex-husband or whatever, and you could have tried to be the person that he wanted you to be throughout the years, and
Mhm,
you did everything he wanted you to be, right?
mhm,
And that wasn't enough. But then y'all break up, right? And then the other person, if a new person was to come in their life
mhm.
and they do the same exact things that you have done, and they're okay with that, is like, dang, so maybe I wasn't for you.
Yeah,
The problem wasn't me or you. Probably the problem was them.
yeah. And I
So
think
it's like, it's
that is so true
crazy.
because you'll find there's a person for everyone. You shouldn't
Yes.
have to work so hard to want a person. And
Nope.
if you have to work hard to ask for someone's attention, for someone's time, for their love, then and it's not reciprocated, then that's your sign that you need to walk away, right? A lot of us don't see that because we paint a picture in our head of who that person should be or who we want that person to be. And so, because we paint that picture, we're blinded to see the reality that that person is not who
Yeah.
you want them to be. They're not that. And so, you
No.
but
And sometimes we kind of have like a little bit of faith that we're gonna change that person, and then never happens.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't change no grown man, no grown
And I'll
woman.
tell you with that being said, like my husband, he basically said that, right? Like we got together when I was 18.
Yeah.
Was he was older. He was 5 years older. And what he said to me recently was he was staying with me with hoping that I would mature and I would change into that person he wanted me to be. He had a vision of who I should be. And because I was young, he figured, oh, she's just young. She'll she'll grow into it. Like, okay, she's inching towards it just a little bit. She just needs to get there. So the longer I wait into it, the more likely she is to be that person, that woman that I want her to be. And when he said that to me, it actually really hurt me because it made me feel like you just stayed with me with hoping that I become who you're molding me to be, right? But then once I broke out of that mold, it was like all hell broke loose, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things where you have to evaluate yourself and look at yourself and say, what are you doing, right? Is this what you want? Do you want to be this image of this person that you're not? And who are you benefiting? Are you
Yeah.
benefiting him? Are you benefiting society?
You
Or
know, but sometimes, like you said, we're so crazy in love. And because we love that person so much, we're just completely blind.
mm,
But what I have realized throughout the years, you can love a person so much and not be with them.
yeah,
Like you have to like really put yourself first and really like dig in all the negative stuff and all what is really affecting you and how it has affected you, the whole relationship,
mm,
and look at it as, you know what, like you mentioned, it's not worth it.
yeah.
You know,
I
like
definitely
if
think
you
that,
lost yourself,
yeah.
yes, if you have lost yourself, like you need to like look at it like, you know what, I need to find myself, I need to like do this for me.
Mhm.
And yes, I might love him, but you know what, no, I
I
have
love
to love him from far away.
and I love myself more. And even now that we're
Yes.
separated and we're going through the hardest time in both of our lives, I will say that I still love him. I
Yeah.
pray, look, I pray for him just like I pray for myself. I pray for him, right? And one of our guests said that on the recent one of our older episodes. I pray for my husband even now throughout what we're going through. Um, I pray
That's what you're
that
supposed to do,
I
you
pray
know?
that he has the
Just like they
support.
say, I'm not saying he's your enemy, but I'm saying it says in the Bible you gotta pray for your enemies, you know? Like that's what you're supposed to do.
And I
So
and I
anyone
pray
who
that
hurts you and stuff.
yeah, and I pray that he has the support from his family during this time. I pray
Yes.
that, no evil comes between us, like, and our children. I honestly am still rooting for him to be the best person that he can be. Um, and although he might not see it, I hope that years from now he sees that, there's no malice, there's no anger, there's no hatred. Like I still love him like the day that I fell in love with him, right? But I love him enough to know that we grew apart and that's okay. You don't have to stay with someone to be happy. You can still grow apart and still be happy for that person and wish the best for that person.
Right.
He is still the father of my children. He will always be the father of my children. Nobody will ever take that place. And so for him, I want the best for him. If not for me, for my children. So, and when you can get to that place, I think that that shows you that God is with you and that everything's going to work out for you because you're able to look at this person that everybody expects you to hate. Everybody expects you not to like them, but you're able to look at that person and say, you know what? I love you. I still, Christmas just passed. I still said Merry Christmas. I still gave him a present and said, and hoped for him to enjoy his Christmas. And I genuinely meant that. I genuinely mean anything that comes. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, compromising myself, you can compromise yourself for your happiness, but it's only going to take you so because you're going to get to that point where there's that division in the road and you're going to say, well, do I go left or do I go right? Do I choose me or do I choose him? Or do I choose her or whatever? And you have to come to that realization. And at some point, you might come into that realization 20 years from now, 1 year from now. It just determines on how much and how fast you lost yourself. Um, for me, I see it a lot of times. I see like, for instance, even through like celebrities, I think Jeannie Ma from The Real, she was married, right? And I remember her being married to this guy for like 15 years from the real, the Asian, I think she's Asian,
What are you talking about?
the talk show, the real.
Okay, yes, I know
Yeah,
who you're talking
he was
about.
married for like 15 years and then they divorced. And the thing was, is that I think he wanted to have kids. She did not, but she still married him, still was with him for this long period of time. Soon as they separated, I want to say a year later, he done got some girl knocked up, pregnant, and had a kid. Why? Because you try to be with someone because you love them, when
Yes.
you're compromising your love for this person. But if he always wanted to have a child and he's with you for 10, 15 years and he's like, oh, I thought she was going to change her mind by now. I thought she was going to have a kid with me, is not changing her mind, then what other choice do you have but to leave that relationship and go find someone that is more compatible with you,
Yes.
you know? So, and I
I
give
just,
that example just so people can understand, like compromising your happiness, eventually you're going to come to that diversion in the road where you have to make a left turn or a right turn.
girl, I'm at this point. This New Year is like, I'm not even going to that point where I need to choose either left or right. I'm straight up right there and then. If you want to talk to me, if you want to date me, like, we're going to talk and we're going to put everything on the table and that's it. Like,
So
you
I
know,
with
like for
that,
me, I don't want no more kids. Like, I'm done.
yeah. So for
So
me,
it's like, I have told, like, I have went on dates and stuff, you know, after I had my baby. And I have mentioned to a couple of guys, like, I'm done.
mhm.
So they agree. So they're actually, we're on the same page. So I'm happy that, you know, I could be able to find a guy who's actually on the same page with me about kids.
So let me say this. I think that in the beginning of any relationship, you're going to find that guys are going to tell you what you want to hear because they want to be with you enough that they're going to tell you, yeah, I don't want any kids either. But then, like a year from now, they're going to be like, man, but you sure you don't want to have any kids? Like, you know what I mean? Because
Well,
they were hoping
the good thing
already.
is that I kept it real on my end, you know, from the beginning. And if that was to happen, you know, in the middle of the relationship and a guy was to like bring it up and tell me like, you know, but yeah, have kids, da, 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 I would tell him straight up, you lost all this time because I told you from the beginning that I didn't want no, you know, that I don't want no more kids. So
But it's still going to hurt. If
it's
you
gonna hurt
if
because
you
we
invested
invested our time and
if you invested a year or 2 years into this person, what about 10 years? And they're like, and your arguments keep coming up that he wants to have a kid or he wants to have a kid by you. Yes, yes, I told you from the beginning, this is what I want. But now we invested all this time and I was hoping you would change your mind
and
because
now what happens? We break up and we both single again.
and time was wasted. So, again, I think that, and it's hard to distinguish whether someone's telling you what you think you want to hear. And so I have so much baggage right now that if I was to enter any type of whatever, like I don't trust nothing you're saying.
I mean, you're
I
still
don't trust
healing.
anything
So,
you're saying until like the first year. Let's get to the year. Once we get to the year point, then
girl, let's not even talk about you. Me and you both, we stay overthinking stuff. So that's another thing that plays in, you know, making it harder to even date.
yeah. And I'm so blunt and I'm so like, this is who I am. But I find that even when you tell people this is who you are, they're still like, okay, all right, okay. So I feel like that's not enough. And so for me, my guard is definitely up. And I think that, obviously I have a lot of baggage. I have a lot of things that I'm going through currently, that I don't even know if I
You,
have time to date. But I do feel like once I start dating again, that it will be like, I don't believe you. I'm sorry.
oh my,
Uh,
no.
you're telling me what I want to
By
hear.
that time, I think you're gonna come to a point where you're gonna kind of detect when they're bullshitting already. Because I got to a point
I'm
where,
gonna call them on their bullshit, and I'm gonna be like, no. I don't think that.
you know, this whole New Year thing, I just I'm not for the BS.
Yeah.
I don't want no drama. I don't want no negativity. Like, right now, I just want to be alone. I'm having the fun time of my life right now. Like, I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying my kids. And I'm just, if whoever comes, then I want them to add happiness to my happiness.
I feel like whoever comes to me in the future, they're going to have a hell of a fight with me. And if they're willing to sustain that fight and they're willing to stay for that fight, then they are meant to be. Because the fight's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park. And if they're willing to stick through that fight, that means that they were able to handle my baggage and still break down those walls and those barriers to get to my heart, because it's not going to be easy. And so that's my thing. But I do come with a warning, and I do come with I'm going to be very blunt and upfront. This is who I am. I'm broken. Definitely broken. I have four children. They are my priority. They are my focus. This is
that's definitely, yes.
Like a dating like this is my dating video. Okay. Like, if you're going to come to me, know that I have four children. I'm not expecting you to be a dad. I just want you to respect my time and understand
your priority are your kids.
My priority is my kids.
As a mother, that should be our priority. As for me too, my kids are my everything, and my kids come before anyone.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So that we got that cleared out on the table. Yeah. Willing to compromise love for happiness. Like I said, from my experience, you're going to have to compromise. There's no doubt about it. But how much of you are you willing to compromise is the question. And I think that what I would like people to understand is that relationship, not even just a relationship, but a marriage takes a lot of work. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer to all the ones that just got proposals for Christmas and New Year's. I'm not hating, not at all. Congratulations.
But you and bitter over there, right? The bitter ex-wife, because I mean, when we, as baby mamas, when we say something, we're the bitter baby mamas. So let's clarify, you're not the bitter ex-wife.
I might just be, but I'm not an ex yet. Let's make that clear for any females ready to go for my husband's DM, that I'm not the ex yet. But what I will say is the marriage takes a lot of work, and the wedding is glamorous. The proposal is glamorous. All of that is cute. The first year is cute, but once you come to the hardships, that's your real test to seeing if you can get through. And not just,
I just feel like you need to take your time. Whoever is engaged, take your time. Like, if you're engaged, doesn't mean that you have to get married in a couple of months, in a couple of years. Like, take your damn time. If you can live with that person, live with them.
Yes.
Get to know them. Get to see what you dislike, what you like.
Yeah. Meet his family, because who your family is going to represent who that person is and their support system. It's very important. What do you think about?
I'm looking like, hold up, wait.
But it's so true, right?
I mean, it could go both sides, because they could be someone that could be very family oriented, and boom, you get a big surprise that
you meet the family, so you can observe the family and you can see the family. How
family could lie. Family would play their part for.
So family can play their part, but if you're around them enough, they're going to show their true colors eventually.
Girl.
Guys, Angela, we're supposed to be giving some, advice to the newly couples here.
I am giving advice, and I'm saying be aware, because family could lie. And I know that because I know.
Yes, and that's like the true colors come out from your partner. That's why I say wait like a year or two. The true colors are going to eventually come out. It's the same with the family. The true colors are eventually going to come out with the family. So you're going to be able to see later on down the line, like, wait a minute, that person's not who they portrayed themselves to be in the beginning. Time tells all. So time would eventually tell you what to get yourself into.
That's what I'm saying. So take your time. Don't just jump into marrying that person. Take your time and really.
I used to honestly be that one that was like, oh my goodness, guys, I met my husband. We moved in 5 months later. We got pregnant 6 months later. We got married a year later, and we're still together. I used to be that person that would encourage like quick relationships,
Yeah, I
not
remember.
necessarily bad relationships. Like, look at me, guys. And again, I don't think that my relationship was bad. I just think that once someone stops trying in the relationship, then what other choice do you have? What other Yeah, but anyway, so like we said,
I wasn't gonna jump in to stop you. I was just letting you talk. Okay. She had a little, a little drinks today, so she's a little,
you guys like when I have at
you're
least
a little
one
happy right now.
for the pot.
I'm drinking water, so yeah.
See, one glass of something. It doesn't have to be. But yeah, so I think definitely like compromising is important in a relationship, but not to the extent of you losing yourself. Understand that people will tell you when you're losing yourself, right? I've had friends tell me in my relationship when I started to lose myself, like, wait a minute, this isn't you. You're acting a little different. Things are a little like not the same. So once you
Right.
start having other people realize that you're losing yourself, then you really need to take that into account and say, wait a minute, like maybe my sister's right. Like what can I do differently? Because what
And
happens,
even if you don't have nobody there telling you,
mhm,
here's the thing, we have a heart, we have a brain.
women have intuition.
Yes.
Would tell
Yes, we can feel it. We can feel it. Like we need to like tell the heart, you know what? Calm down. Just like go with what your head is telling you. And yeah, listen to your head. Don't listen to your heart sometimes
your
because
mind, listen to your brain. Yes. Yes, because we do know women are very smart and we know that we're tolerating the bullshit, we're tolerating. And it's like we sit here, I'm not dealing with this guy no more. I'm so over him. And then tomorrow, girl, he came over and he brought me flowers. Or girl, we're good again. How many times have
girl,
I
he
told
gave me
you
the
that?
D and everything
How
was
many times,
forgotten.
Angela, have I told you like my husband and I were getting into an argument and the next day I'm like, oh, we're fine. We're going on a
Yeah.
date night. And you're like, what? I'm like, yeah, we're going on a date night.
Yeah, that used to get me mad because you were over here crying or stressed, and I'm here like really listening to you and stressing with you.
And
And
you
then the next day, oh yeah, we're just going on a date. I'm like, wait, but what happened last night? No, nothing. It was forgotten.
fine.
That's it.
So I think that I think that if you are hiding or you are compromising happiness for love, understand that this is not going to go away. It's going to keep coming back. It's going to keep resurfacing. And what's going to
Yes.
happen is 20 years from now, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to be like, what? Why did I do that? I had a lady, she was on the red talk table. No, red table talk. Sorry. 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 She's on the red table talk. And it was a recent episode. And she actually was telling Jada that she was like in her 50s. Her husband was like a few months from retiring, right? So they're old.
Mm-hmm.
They're old. They've been together for like 30 years since high school. And they've had talks about him retiring and them traveling the world and all of this stuff. Her husband left her for someone else, like months before he was about to retire. Can you imagine? I'm not getting your pension now.
Oh
No.
my goodness.
Can you imagine though putting in 30 plus years in a relationship? And then you're ready.
So then if he did that, their relationship was not good. And she probably noticed it, but she ignored it.
And she stayed in it with hopes that, okay,
Yes.
maybe work is stressing him out. Once he retires, we'll be better. We can rekindle what we lost. And because I understand it, like working could bring a lot of stress home. Kids could bring a lot of stress to your relationship. So when you think about retirement, you're like, okay, the kids are older, they doing their own thing. We don't have to go to work anymore. It's just us. Let's go travel the world. Let's go. And
Right.
a couple months before he retires, he leaves her for a younger woman. I think it was a younger woman. But
Oh,
like, can you?
that hurts even more.
And she was on there like crying, like, I don't know who I
Oh my
am.
God, that's so sad.
I'm saying I don't know who I am at 33 because I've been with my husband since high school. But she's saying she's been with her husband her whole adult life. She's like in her 50s. How do you start over? It's crazy. So that's why following those signs and paying attention to those signs. And when you start seeing that you're losing yourself and you're just settling, it's so important for you to like have a conversation with yourself and stop if you need to and take that time for yourself. Because I
Right.
can't imagine, like, I walked away at 33 after 13 years. This lady, she never walked away. He did. And she has to start over. Like, how do you do that? Um, it's it's someplace that I'm encouraging you guys not to be. I'm encouraging you guys to pay attention to what your wants are, pay attention to who you are as a person, and definitely take heed to those signs early on.
And
Don't
it goes back to our topic. Don't compromise your happiness.
you don't want to wait until I heard a lot of people say, well, just wait until the kids graduate high school.
Oh, I heard a lot of, yeah, a lot of marriage do that.
My oldest is almost 14. My youngest is 3. So you mean to tell me I would need to stay in my marriage for another 15 years just for my kids to think that we were a good relationship? What about me?
Mm-mm.
I love my children, but shoot, what about me?
Right.
So I definitely don't think that you should compromise your happiness for a relationship
No.
that your true love wouldn't even want you to compromise. And like I said with my ex, like my husband, I said to him, I'd rather you be happy with someone else than with me. I'm willing to let him go and find his happiness than for him to stay with me because we have children, for him to stay with me just because I want to be with him, for him to stay with me just because this is the American dream is to get married, have kids, buy a house, all of that stuff. Because trust me, I've had people come to me and say, well, you're a black couple, it's important for black couples to stay together for the children because we're already hit with so many things in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're probably right, but it's also important for black men to have their mental health in order. And if I'm with someone that I'm compromising their mental health because they just want to curse me out every time they see me, then no, you need to go and find your happiness or be by yourself. The same
Yeah,
with me. So this topic was really good. I got a little emotional,
I
but
did see that.
but
I was gonna say something.
I felt like Angela, you kept me on track, so I didn't cry. So thank you. But I do think that this topic is so important, not just for like me and you as we're talking about the going into the new year and what to expect for the new year, but also for a lot of people. I think a lot of people stay in relationships because they're scared and they stay in situations because they feel like that's the best they can do. But once you really get to know who you are as a person, you'll know that settling is not enough. Like
Yes.
happiness is important. And even if that means you need to be alone for a little bit, like
Yeah. Being single is not that bad. I'm just saying.
get with me in
Just
about
saying.
like
What?
I said check.
You know what? Maybe I'm saying that because I have so many people like, that Valentine's Day, I don't be single. I mean, I don't be alone. I don't be alone. And, any holidays, I don't be alone. I'm talking about friends, like female friends. I be, I have people around me, so it's like I don't really feel lonely.
You have love, like, and love
Yes,
different
love.
places. God has given you love from different places where you don't need to seek a man's love.
Yes, so I'm
That's good.
good.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're blessed.
Yes, I am.
But yeah, so guys, definitely message us, definitely comment below on this topic. We entered 2021 and we want to do things differently. We
Yes.
have to be accountable for us and how we're going to change how we handle relationships in the future. And we have to hit it where it hurts. Was this topic hard for me? Absolutely. This topic was hard for me. And compromising yourself, it just seems easier, right, to deal with. And so going into this new year and trying to figure out who I am as a person, I have to acknowledge all the negative and the wrong and the things that I shouldn't have done. And this is one of them. So you can't move forward if you don't acknowledge your issue of what you've done in the past. And so I'm grateful for this topic. Guys, comment, let us know what you think of this topic. If you have any input on it or any comments or questions, definitely DM us. But yeah, you got quiet
Yes.
on me.
Definitely DM us. Um, yeah, that's it, right? Yeah.
You got quiet on me real quick. But yes, guys. So thank you for tuning in to the Real and Raw with Tasha.
And Angela.
Until next
And until next time. Bye.
time.
Okay, no. Oh my goodness. Cut this. Oh.